Hi, welcome to the Coffee Hour, a show that involves you in verbal interactions. We have the 2020 feature, Sports with Brian Camp, and Entertainment News with DJ Pete. So settle in with coffee in hand, and enjoy the Coffee Hour. Now here's your host, Frank Allan.
DGIF, thank God it's Friday. How are you? Here we are once again, another Friday. My name is Frank Allan, and it's the Coffee Hour. We're coming to you live from New York City. That's where we originate, and we're going to be here for the next hour. And of course, during this next hour, we're going to do nothing but entertain you. We have a lot of things to talk about today. I thank you so much for being along with us. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is how the show operates. Of course, you can get involved in the show just like everyone else as they do each week. You come in and if you have something to say, you want to talk about anything in particular, use your keyboard, your computer keyboard. You can use your phone keyboard or even your pad, your iPad. Do they call them iPads anymore? I don't know what they call them. Anyway, they're tablets now. You know, you can use those. Any one of those things, or any one of those devices that you have that communicates with us, that you can see us live, we're right here. And we're going to be here, as I said, for a whole full hour. Tell your friends about it. We come from 3 different places. We're live on Facebook. We're on YouTube, also on Instagram, live all around. And so therefore, whatever your poison is, wherever you can catch us, so we'll be right there with you. No matter where you go around the world, that's where we are because we're global. All around the world, and you can tell your friends and family. Now, if you happen to be watching us on Facebook right now, please take the time right now as we start the show, get things started. It'll give you enough time to tag all of your friends. You can tag this show to them right now. You know, you may not be able to tag each and every one of them because I know you have a lot of friends, but maybe you have selective friends that you want to get in on the action. Please do that. Let them know that we're out here. And then later on, you can take care of the other friends. And those of you who are watching us on YouTube, I always encourage you to go to our YouTube channel. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us. You see there's a button there. If you happen to be on it right now, just click onto that button where it says YouTube, where it says subscribe, right? Not with your fingers, with your mouse. Put your mouse, point it to the subscribe button, click it, and you're in. And, you know, the reason why we can do that is, first of all, to have you with us all the time. And then second of all, is that it'll give you a chance to know when we come on live each week. Notification will pop up when we do, even when we post so much as a video. Notification will pop up and you'll see it. All you have to do is click on to it. And it's right there. And those of you who are going to tell your friends about us on Facebook, you send them the notification, they'll click on, they'll know it's from you, and they'll click on and it'll bring them right here to us. For the rest of you guys who are watching us on Instagram, please continue to follow us, keep the word percolating, tell your family and friends about us, and of course, everything will be fine. We're going to do, in conjunction with interacting with you personally too, we're also going to do our regular thing coming along. We have sports, which in a couple of minutes from now, he's coming on early. He usually does 20 past the hour, but Brian Camp will be here. We're going to connect with him and we're going to link up with him as he comes out of Charlotte, North Carolina, from New York to Charlotte. He's going to bring us the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. And of course, he'll be around to do that. And of course, you'll get a chance to meet him too if you're watching us, except for you people who are watching us on Instagram. You won't get a chance to see him. You'll hear him because we're not set up that way. Hopefully in the future, somewhere along the way, we'll be able to set you up where we could do that. But in the meantime, for the rest of you who are watching, you'll get a chance to meet him. And if you have any questions about anything that happens in today's world of sports, you could get that information from him. He'll be here to deliver all of that from you coming right up. Also coming along in the program, later on in the program, I have all of those classic movies that I always tell you about. Turner Classic Movies. They're all Turner Classic Movies. Movies from different eras. What I usually do, I have a pick of the week. And each week I bring you some of my picks from Turner Classic Movies. Now, if you like to catch up on some movies on the weekend, please do. Don't be shy about it. You may be in an area where you'll have a lot of inclement weather or something, and it'll force you to stay in. I know here in New York, it's not going to be like a washout or anything, but it'll be a nice weekend to sit back and catch up on movies. Well, I have those movies for you. I have my picks of the week, and we'll be relaying all of that to you coming up right throughout the show. And remember that all of the views and the opinions expressed on this show, The Coffee Hour, does not necessarily reflect the view or the opinion of the people of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Zoom, or any kind of social media outlet or broadcast facility. So we got that out of the way. So in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, let's raise our cups, get the show going, because what would the coffee hour be without a little coffee hour? So ladies and gentlemen, excuse me while I shoot up. Oh, that's delicious. Nothing like that first jolt of the day. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. So let me try another one. Hey, while I'm doing this, let's bring Brian on. Brian, as I said, he comes on early with the latest developments in today's world of sports. He's coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So let's bring him on right now. And this way, while he's talking, I could sip my coffee. Good morning, Brian. How are you? Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. And the rain has presently stopped. It was a downpour all day yesterday into the middle of the night. We had knocked out some of the cables in our area. Couldn't watch the game, but I always have a backup plan. So I was able to watch the game, even though I couldn't watch it on my originally telecast, but I was able to watch the game. But right now it's 65 degrees, hot and humid. So rain is supposed to come back more later on this afternoon. And then finally tonight, sometime it's supposed to stop. It's more like a 60% chance of rain throughout the day. But right now the sun is out, but it is humid. You can feel it.
We're supposed to be getting some rain over the weekend, but not as intense. And it's not going to be a complete washout, but just enough to keep you at bay, you know. So
yes, well, a little rain can't hurt. You know, it helps cleanse the air. It saves on the water bill. You could water your flowers and your whatever you planting, and yeah, it's good. Rain is good. So,
yeah.
But good morning to you and to everybody out there that's listening. While I'm giving you the sportcast, you may sip your coffee, by the way, and just a fun time right now. In sports, right now, presently, we have the NFL drafts that started. It started yesterday. It's going to go through Thursday through Saturday. Yes, Thursday through Saturday is going to be on ESPN. You can follow it on ESPN, ESPN Plus, or the NFL Network. So you could stay tuned. Hopefully, you know the team that you do follow during the season. You see what kind of draft picks you have, and just spend a day with these three networks of your choice. So. Also in football, NFL and 6 NFL players were suspended indefinitely for betting on NFL games in the 2022 season. Detroit Lions wide receiver Quintez Cephas and safety C.J. Moore and Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney are sidelined for the entire season, or for the entire 23 season because they was gambling. Now they may petition for reinstatement afterwards. Now the Detroit Lions wide receiver Stanley Berryhill and Jameson Williams each receive a 6-game suspension, and so they will be held out for maybe a third of the season. And yes, if you do the math, there'll be 1/3 of the season. We don't know if they're going to appeal, but when you have something like this, gambling, that's real stuff. So they will pay the penalty. They will hit their wallets in a way that you would not believe. So that's where we're at right now. So this day in sports, April 28th, 1952, the St. Louis Browns lended. I gotta say that word. Gotta make it clear. Lend 2 black minor leaguers to the Hankyu Braves of Japan. The Hankyu Braves of Japan. So they would lend. I don't know what that means, but you figure it out. 1956, the Cincinnati Reds outfielder Frank Robinson hits his first of 586 home runs. As you know, he had a wonderful storytelling career as a baseball player. He's one of the all-time greats. He's the only baseball player that won an MVP in both leagues, National League and American League. So that's a feat that will probably never be broken. If it may not, we're not sure. 1961, Milwaukee Braves pitcher Warren Spahn, Hall of Famer, throws his second no-hitter at the age of 41, 1-0 over my San Francisco Giants. It's amazing. At the age of 41, he throws a no-hitter. It was his second. 1965, remember Lindsey Nelson, broadcast of the Major League Baseball Houston Astrodome? He broadcasted at a hanging gondola. It's a flat, it's described as a flat boat. And he broadcast the game from there. Why he did it, I don't know. But I bet you he had a colorful suit, a colorful jacket that he has always been known to wear. Lindsey Nelson, one of the great ones. I used to watch him as a kid doing New York Mets broadcasts. And he used to come on and, hello, everybody, this is Lindsey Nelson. And, he's the type that made the game so exciting with his colorful suits and jackets and his blazers. So, but that's what he did in 1965. 1967, Muhammad Ali refused induction into the army and was stripped of his boxing title. Some of you all remember. I was too young to remember, but I did read up on it. He refused to fight in the Vietnam War, so they stripped him of his boxing title. Did come back for this epic showdown fight with Joe Frazier back in 1971. He did reclaim the title after a couple of years after that, beating George Foreman in Africa. 1985, Fernando Valerella sets a record for 41 scoreless innings to start a season. 41 innings. That means did not give up an earned run at all. Was scoreless. Nothing, zero. He put up zeros. If you calculate that, games is 9, 8, 18, 27, 36. Yeah, that's 4 games. That's 4 games. There's 4.5 games without giving up a run. So birthdays today, 1964. Barry Larkin, Major League Baseball shortstop Hall of Famer, was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes. And weddings. Professional boxer George Foreman weds Andrea Skeet. And ladies and gentlemen, that is sports.
Boy, on a Friday morning here in New York. You talk about Lindsey. I used to love Lindsey Nelson when he used to announce for the Mets. But you could tell he was a Met fan too, because whenever the Mets lose, when the Mets lost, you could see the expression on his face. I mean, if you look deeply, you could see that, he wasn't really happy with it, because I believe he was a Met fan. And most of the people who like Ralph Kiner and all of those guys, they were Met fans, even though
Bob Murphy,
Bob
Kiner,
Bob Murphy, and Ralph Kiner played for Pittsburgh, so I don't, whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's up for the weekend? You got that. You say you got more rain coming, so that's going to cancel. That's going to put a damper on your plans for cooking, right?
And it never stops. It never stops. The smoker comes. It smokes in all kinds of weather, through earthquakes, through hurricanes, you name it. Through cold. I've done it in extreme cold weather, but no, the smoker. But I won't be cooking because I'm going to be going on a photo shoot tomorrow. So I'm going to be taking pictures for an event, a church event. So I'll be taking pictures on a Saturday, and Sunday probably be watching sports. Maybe at the last second I'll come up with something, put the smoke on just to put it on and smoke some food.
Hey, yeah. Well, I think next week we're going to be celebrating. I think next Friday, I believe. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I got to check the calendar. Cinco de Mayo. We're going to be celebrating that. That's the Mexican celebration, and there's going to be a lot of Corona beers flowing all over the place. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I could imagine. Yeah, I could imagine.
Okay, Brian, I know you got to run, so we'll catch you back here next week.
All right, everybody have a nice weekend and be safe. Speak to you later.
Take care of yourself. That was Brian Camp, ladies and gentlemen. Latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. He actually, as you already noticed, he's here early. He's usually 20 after the hour. That starts our 2020 feature. But of course, you know, he's got things going on, and I try to make it comfortable for everyone, you know, work with everyone and kind of be flexible with this show. That's a good thing about this show. I could be flexible with it, you know. And I like to keep things normal, but you know, every once in a while you have to bend a little bit. And speaking of flexing, the 2020 feature, 22 the hour, usually DJ Pete will be here. He won't be here today because he got lucky today. He got lucky. You know what? And I always admire people who can make that extra buck somewhere. The musical Fiddler on the Roof, the tour, the Broadway tour, hit his town over in Portland, Maine. And so he gets to work on that production today. So congratulations, Pete. We'll catch you back here hopefully next week and work on the show, make us all proud. But since he's not going to be here, of course, I have all the information that he left for us for all of the news, entertainment news, and reciting the birthdays of people of notoriety. So I will take care of all of that. For the rest of you guys, you're just joining us. The name of the show is called The Coffee Hour. I'm Frank Allan, and of course, we're going to be with you until the next hour. And those of you who want to chime in conversation, feel free. You know, I don't bite. I want to say good morning to Warren out there in Greensville, North Carolina. He says, "Go Giants." He's ready for football already. The baseball season is just starting to kick in gear right now, and he's ready for baseball. Well, I don't know if he said "Go Giants." I don't know if he's talking about San Francisco Giants or the New York Giants, whatever it is. But I know Brian did talk about sports because now what it is it's the NFL draft. That's where we're under the midst of the NFL draft. So we'll see what happens when that comes around. A lot of things are going to be happening, and we keep our eyes focused because when the football season finally comes around, we will already know who will be in place. So we'll look forward to that. Warren, if you have a weather forecast, you know, that would be great. And for the rest of you who want to chime in conversation, give us something. You don't have to give a full-fledged weather forecast. Now he says, "Go Mets." Which one is it? I don't know. Mets, Giants. What about the Yankees? How about those Yankees? My Yankees, though, you know, my Yankees are kind of losing a little traction a little bit, you know, but they'll come back. I have faith in them. They're losing a little traction a little bit. When they kicked off the season, they came out swinging. And so they're kind of losing a little traction a bit, but they'll make it. It's only the beginning of the season. For those of you who wants to join us in conversation, like Warren is out there, you want to talk to all of us, please feel free. If you would, it's 62 degrees and mostly cloudy in Greensville, North Carolina. But for the rest of you, if you come in, give us your weather forecast. It doesn't have to be a big weather forecast. Just give us some kind of briefing on what it's like so we can compare notes. For those of you who are living in New York, or in the New York City vicinity, anywhere there, don't worry about that. I will take care of that for you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take care of that right now. So we can get it out of the way so we don't forget. We're not going to have such a great weekend weather-wise. It's 54 degrees outside right now. And as I told Brian earlier, it's not going to be like a washout, but enough to keep you indoors, to keep you at bay, you know. And every once in a while, a lot of us need to be kept at bay because we're always doing things on impulse or just jumping the gun. So I think this weekend here's how it goes. It's going to be cloudy start. For starters, it's going to be cloudy with occasional rain this afternoon. We'll have a high of 56 degrees. Winds will be east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain of 50%. For tonight, periods of rain, potential heavy rainfall will develop. We'll have a low 48 degrees. Winds will be east-northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chance of rain will be 80%. That's a lot of percentage. Rainfall around a half of an inch. So that's kind of good. It's not as intense as Brian got his rain, but enough just to say, I think I'll stay put for a while. We move along for Saturday. Periods of rain, high 52 degrees. Winds will be east northeast at 15 to 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. Chance of rain 100%. So Saturday, batten down the hatches a little bit. Rainfall around 1/2 of an inch, and it'll be higher wind gusts will be possible. So Saturday, forget about it. All right. Saturday night showers in the evening, then cloudy overnight. We'll have a low 49 degrees. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain drops to 60%. And as we wrap up our weekend, still the same, just about the same thing. Rain showers in the morning with more rain. Rain showers in the morning with evolving rain coming in. I don't know what that means, evolving rain, okay, into more steady rain. It will evolve into more, that's what it meant, evolve into more steady rain. Get it right there. Evolve into more steady rain. So see, the rain gets more intense. Again, not as intense as Charlotte, North Carolina, but the rain will happen in the afternoon. We'll have a high temperature around 60 degrees. Winds will be east northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain another 100% for Sunday, and rainfall near 1/2 of an inch. So we have a stinkeroo of a weather forecast. So we have to deal with it. And repeating our current temperature right now, it's now 54 degrees outside. We can't wait to the warmer weather. I looked ahead of the weather forecast and I see that not this week. We'll probably remain in the 60s this week, but I think the following week we kind of like boosted, and it's about time because the weather forecast it's getting a bit normal now. As time moves on, the weather gets a little warmer, a little more intense, depending on where you are. If you live in New York City, where a lot of water is, we're surrounded by water. Of course, humidity sets in, and then what happens then, right? And some people who live in the desert, like in Arizona or Las Vegas and California and places like that, they don't get as much as humidity because they don't have a lot of water around. But anyway, so that's the weather forecast. Again, if you're going to come in and chime in with us, we would appreciate it. It's not mandatory that you do, but we always like to hear from you. And we do like to hear from you. And I like to greet you personally, too, as you come in. So be aware with us. Let me take another swig of this stuff. It's a great coffee. When I left the gym this morning, I went to the gym. I go to the gym real early in the morning. I start my day really early. I went to the gym this morning, and after leaving the gym, I stopped off for a little green drink. That green drink, the healthy green drink? I stopped off for one of those. Now I'm drinking coffee. It's kind of defeating the purpose, isn't it? Oh, well, I'll take another green drink later. Anyway, thank you so much for being along with us for this Friday. And of course, the weekend is being set up for you. And those of you who could make it through the 4 and 5 o'clock hours when the happy hour starts, a lot of you, I know, happy hour. I know a lot of you are waiting. Happy hour. I remember those days, the happy hour. But whatever you're going to do it very safe for the weekend. And hopefully, wherever you are, your weather may be better than what mine is. But if it's not, just like the people here in New York, when I deliver all of those movies I was telling you about, maybe it's a good time to catch up on some of those movies coming up. So stand by for all of that. Okay, in entertainment world today, Len Goodman. I don't know if you know that name, Len Goodman. He was the former Dancing with the Stars judge. He died peacefully this week at the age of 78 years old. Dancing with the Stars was one of those famous shows, or favorite shows by a lot of people, because they love to see their favorite so-called celebrities get out and cut a rug and indulge in competition of that show. But anyway, he was one of the judges, Len Goodman. And so again, he passed away peacefully at the age of 78 years old. Remember the Alton Maddox, remember him? He was a big time judge. He was the headline grabbing civil rights lawyer. And Alton Maddox represented Tawana Brawley. Remember that case years ago, Tawana Brawley? And some of the most high-profile victims in racially charged attacks in New York City, he worked with them back in the 1980s. Well, he died Sunday. He died last Sunday in a nursing home, and I had no idea he was in a nursing home. You know, when he dropped out of sight, I didn't know what was going on. And then when that came up, it kind of jogged my memory that, oh yes, I thought maybe he just retired, because some people just like to retire and come out of the limelight. A lot of people like to do that. And but he wound up in a nursing home in the Bronx in New York City. He died at the age of 77 years old, Alton Maddox. Here's another one that all of you guys know. Jerry Springer, the former Cincinnati mayor and longtime TV show host, whose tabloid show was known for outrageous arguments, throwing chairs, and physical confrontation between sparring couples and homewreckers. Remember that? Well, he passed away peacefully in Chicago, Illinois, at his home. He just passed away Thursday. Everybody knows about that. That just happened Thursday. Springer had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and it went for a turn of the worst. It went worse, got worse over the weeks, and he eventually passed away. He was 79 years old. Loved Jerry Springer. Now, when Jerry Springer started his show, not the outrageous show that all of you know, that everyone loves, everybody tuned in because they love blood, they love confrontation, they love throwing chairs, they love people throwing pies in their face. You know, before he started a show like that, he was, his show was kind of political. It was mostly political because he was a politician himself. So when he got that show, it was basically political. And so to boost the ratings, Oprah Winfrey was on the air at the time as well. So he had to get up there with Oprah Winfrey. So he came out with this idea of, yeah, sure, let's do what the people like. People like blood. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, unfortunately it's true. People like action TV like that, tabloids, dirt, trash TV, as they called it back then. They love that kind of stuff. People today love that kind of stuff. People love it now. It's all in politics now, as you already discovered. So when he transformed his show to a tabloid show, the ratings went up, people started watching, and that show consequently lasted for 27 years. And then later on, you know, after they canceled the show, or he canceled the show, whatever it was, he got another show. He was called Judge Jerry. Remember that? It was a short-lived show, but he was Judge Jerry. And so he's been around. He's been around on the political circuit, and the TV circuit's been around. So we're going to really miss Jerry Springer. I had a chance to meet him years back. He came to a radio station where I was working at the particular time. And I had a chance to meet him, talk to him. Very nice guy, very nice guy. You see him nice on the air, and he was very nice. You know, it is what you see is what you get. You know, and I'm truthful about saying things like that. If I don't like you, I'm going to let you know about that too. But Jerry Springer was really a real nice guy. So we sent our prayers to his family and his friends and all the people he used to work with. Jerry Springer, by the way, launched Steve Wilkos' show. He launched that show. And so, yeah, he did a lot of things. He did a lot of good things. Here's something that everyone knows. Deo, the Banana Boat song. That's the man that made that song famous, Harry Belafonte, the beloved Hollywood star, icon, singer, and prominent civil rights activist. Well, he died, of course, as you already know, from congestive heart failure. He died Tuesday at his home right here in New York, where we live. He was a native New Yorker. He was born in Harlem. He lived on the Upper East Side, and he died at the age of 96 years old. Harry Belafonte, I really love him. He goes back a long way. He started out in the movies. Of course, he was king of the Calypso music. He sang Calypso, the king of the Calypso music. And, you know, people loved him. People used to be around him. Brian sent something to me just yesterday by way of email. he actually IM'd. It was a video. Remember when they did the USA for Africa, We Are the World, We Are the Children? Well, we got to go behind the scenes. I never knew that this video existed. And Brian found it and he sent it to me. And what they were doing, they were on that same set after they were getting ready to wrap up and go home. They did a little tribute to Harry Belafonte singing the Banana Boat song. Deo, 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 you know, daylight come and me want to go home. And everyone was there. All the people who were singing We Are the World, We Are the Children, everyone on that set, they started joining in. They were having a lot of fun singing it. And what I managed to do is go on YouTube. And I saw that video because the one that Brian sent me didn't have so much clarity. Not that the one that I got from YouTube had better, but it was a little better. It was a little better. And so I downloaded that. And now I have my own copy of it. I did it. I cut some parts and then I put a fade in and fade out on it to make it look good. And then I put it on Drive. So all I have to do is now plug the Drive in my TV and watch it whenever I want, you know. But that was it. It was great. You should go on YouTube and check it out. Go on YouTube. Just type in Harry Belafonte or something that may relate to USA of Africa, for Africa, you know, and you'll check it out then. But it was great. It was a great video. I really enjoyed it. But anyway, Harry Belafonte played in a lot of movies too, you know. And one of the favorite movies that I enjoy so much that I still watch today, whether I'm watching it on TV, if it comes on, Turner Classic Movies or something like that, or go into my personal archives and dig it out. It's called Carmen Jones back in 1954. He did that with Dorothy Dandridge, who was Dorothy Dandridge was back then known as the sex bomb of African Americans, you know, because back in those days, they didn't have a lot of women. Everyone looked at Marilyn Monroe and people like Anne Margaret as sex symbols, female sex symbols. Greta Garbo back then. We didn't have a lot of black people, black sex symbols, female sex symbols. But Dorothy Dandridge was one of them. Anyway, they played in that movie Carmen, great movie. If you get a chance to watch it, check it out, from 1954. He also did a movie called Island in the Sun back in 1957. Now, this was a controversial movie because of the fact that the theme of the movie relayed to interracial relationship. And James Mason was there. James Mason was on it, Joan Fontaine, and again, Dorothy Dandridge in this movie. And Island in the Sun, Harry Belafonte and Joan Fontaine had a interracial relationship together on the movie. So back then, 1957, go figure, that was very taboo back in those days. And it was a controversial movie. Today, no problem. Another great movie that I like so much that he did, and these are classics. This goes back to 1959. This was called Odds Against Tomorrow. Odds Against Tomorrow, and Robert Ryan, actor, the late Robert Ryan, was in that movie with them. And this still had to do with racial relationships right then. And it was this one Caucasian guy that didn't like Harry Belafonte and just gave him a hard time. But you got to watch that movie. I haven't seen it in such a long time. I do have it in my archives at home, and I will probably watch it today to catch up on it, you know. But it's a great movie. I remember it well, Odds Against Tomorrow. And another one from 1959, The World, the Flesh, and the Devil. And this one he did with Ingrid Stevens. A wonderful movie, a black and white classic, just like the Odds Against Tomorrow, black and white classic. And some of these movies, I hope you're taking some of these movies down. Maybe you can go on YouTube, and if you don't catch them in full, maybe you can catch parts of them and things like that. But I would imagine, I haven't checked on it, but I would like to think that somewhere along next week or so, they preempt some of the scheduled movies that they had going and do some Harry Belafonte movies. That would be a great tribute to him. We'll see about that. I'll be checking on that to see if it happens. And if it does, and when we're on the air, I will relay that information to you. Now, for those of you who are younger, back to 1972, for instance, Buck and the Preacher, he did this one with Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee. And him and Sidney Poitier were friends, for many, many years. They went back together for many, many years, because even Sidney Poitier, when he started acting, it was like in the 50s. I mean, way in the 50s. In 1950, he did that classic movie, No Way Out. And that was another one of those race relations movies that he did. He played a doctor. So all of these classic movies, and it's amazing how people like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, and people, they came through a time where, it wasn't really a good time for African-American people, but they managed to get through it and become the top of their game. Here's another one you guys remember, Uptown Saturday Night from 1974. And he did that one again, along with Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby too. Buck and the Preacher and Uptown Saturday Night. I mentioned all of these shows, all of these movies last night when we did Talk Back Live. But the one that I left out that I didn't mention only because I didn't think about it, but I thought about it this morning. I said, there was a movie that he did that I haven't seen in a long time. I haven't seen it since. I don't know why. And they should put it back on, because you never know. Everything reverts. You know what I mean? This is a movie that he did with John Travolta called White Man's Burden. White Man's Burden from 1995. Now, I haven't seen this movie. I saw the movie once in full, and I haven't seen this movie in a long time. I don't know why they won't put it on again. But White Man's Burden with John Travolta. John Travolta was fired from his job. Now, the roles were reversed. Society roles were reversed. Today, as you already know, this is a, African Americans don't have the privilege. White America have what they call white privilege. And the roles on this movie revert. It was now the Black family who was rich and eating caviar and drinking champagne and spending a lot of money and exquisite vacations and things like that. That was the role. And John Travolta was at the other end of that. He was a poor man working, got fired, and tried to get his job back. Harry Belafonte was the head of that corporation. And he said he just didn't want to deal with it. But then he took Harry Belafonte hostage. But, if they ever show that movie again, maybe you like to check it out. It's called White Man's Burden, a great movie. Harry Belafonte came right through the ropes. And he did an excellent job in his career. I was very proud of him for the fact that he's a native New Yorker. He always lived in New York, born here, born in Harlem. I don't know if he was born in Harlem Hospital, but he was born here in New York and continued to stay here. It's amazing how a lot of people, they make it big and then they move somewhere else. A lot of people who once lived here in New York made it bigger than what they were in New York, and they just decided they were going to wrap it up and just move out to California. And it's not that they didn't like New York. Maybe the work in California was closer, and they decided to move out there and spend the rest of their lives there, wherever they are. But Harry Belafonte, nah, he stayed right here in New York. That just reminds me of a lot of people who decide to move here. When Tony Randall, rest him, before he died, native New Yorker, born and raised, and never moved out of New York. He loved New York. Harry Belafonte loved New York. Louis Armstrong, before he died, he lived out in Corona, Queens in New York, and stayed here. And he lived his life, even though he was a big man in his business, but he kind of lived his life in a way where you could say it was modest, even though, he had a lot of money. He did what he did. And great entertainer, one of the greatest entertainers in the world. And, but anyway, Harry Belafonte, we're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. And I'm always going to remember that music that he did. Great music, great calypso music. But the music that really made him famous, that kicked him off, was Day-O, the Banana Boat song. And I constantly played that on the radio when I was a disc jockey. And it's a great song, great song. And I'm sure he lived a great life at the age of 96 years old. I should live so long. I'm trying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, the name of the show is called The Coffee Hour. My name is Frank Allan, and it's now 20 minutes to the hour, which means now it's time. It's time to get you in touch with what happens. Normally, DJ Pete is in the house with us to bring us his entertainment news. And as I already stated, at DJ Pete, the production of Fiddler on the Roof, Broadway production tour, the Broadway tour of Fiddler on the Roof came to his hometown, and he managed to get work on that production. God bless him, and he's doing that today. So he left us with the chore of doing this. It can be a chore. If DJ Pete is watching right now, I'm glad you got your work, but it is a chore to do this, but we keep trying. April 23rd, 1936, that was the day that Roy Orbison was born. Roy Orbison did a lot of hits. He was big in the 1950s and the 1960s. He was famous for that song, Pretty Woman. He was an American singer, songwriter, and musician, known for his impassioned singing style. Always wore those dark glasses. I used to think he was blind, but he wasn't really blind. But his style. I got to research more on that because he wore regular glasses too as well. But he normally wore those dark glasses. But he did that song "Pretty Woman" and crying, over you, and had a great voice. Almost sounding a range like Elvis. Almost, not quite. Almost. Anyway, he passed away December 6, 1988, and he was only 52 years old. And so we loved his music, and he left a legacy of great music, and that legacy of great music will continue to roll on. Sandra Dee, actress Sandra Dee, was born also on the 23rd, but she was born in 1942. Born on April 23rd, 1942. Sandra Dee, you remember her. She was a big actress. She was married once to Bobby Darin a long time ago. Sandra Dee played in a lot of great movies. One of the favorite movies that I like that she did was Imitation of Life. She did that along with Lana Turner and Juanita Moore. And she's a fine actress, American actress. And she began her career as a child model. As a matter of fact, I have in my archives at home an old commercial that she did for Coca-Cola when she was just a young child, when she's only a teenager. She's just a teenager. And I have a copy of that commercial, old black and white. I collect a lot of things. Anyway, she was born, her given name was Alexandra Zuck. That was her given name. But everyone knows her as Sandra Dee, and what a fine actress she was. I thought she was as cute as a button when she was young too. Barbra Streisand, one of my own. And the reason why I say one of my own, because she's a Brooklyn native. Born in Brooklyn, New York, lived on Pulaski Street in Brooklyn, New York, and went to Erasmus Hall High School. She was born on the 24th of April in 1942, the same year as Sandra Dee, the day after Sandra Dee. So she's a day younger than Sandra Dee, right? Barbra Streisand, all of those big hits that she did. People, I remember she did that song, People Who Needs People. And she teamed up with a lot of people. So I remember she teamed up with Donna Summer at one particular point. She teamed up with Barry Gibbs, and she was an actress as well. She was an actress. She played in that movie, Funny Girl. It was a Broadway musical, and a whole lot of things. So Barbra Streisand, proud of Barbra Streisand. She's now 81 years old. 81 years old. Happy birthday, Barbara Streisand. Love you. And she's always Brooklyn. She's always Brooklyn. And every once in a while, when she comes to Brooklyn, I remember when she, in the earlier days of the Barclays Center, where the Brooklyn Nets play, she came out and did a concert at that particular time. So, yeah. So there you go. Salute to Barbara Streisand. Now, here's a lady that all of us love. And every jazz singer that I know personally, I always, the females, and sometimes male too, I always ask them, who was your influence to sing jazz? Who influenced you? They would either say Billie Holiday or they would say Ella Fitzgerald. Now, Ella Fitzgerald's birthday on the 25th, she had a birthday on the 25th, and she was born in 1917. Ella Fitzgerald, she did a lot of the great hits that you remember. You name the songs and she sang them. She also had Chick, I think his name was Chick, can't remember his name, he was a drummer. I can't remember the last name offhand, it'll come back to me. Anyway, Ella Fitzgerald passed away June 15th in 1996 at the age of 79 years old. She was an American jazz singer, sometimes referred to as the First Lady of Song, Queen of Jazz, Ella Fitzgerald. And although Louis Armstrong did the scatting, she's phenomenal. And you know something, I think, in my opinion, I may be wrong, in my opinion, I think her scatting abilities are underrated, you know, because she can scat. And her phrasing was impeccable. Now, everybody knows that Frank Sinatra was famous for his phrasing, but Ella Fitzgerald, you know, I saw her do some work with Frank Sinatra, and all due respect to Frank Sinatra, I think it was hard to keep up with her when it came to phrasing her numbers. But, you know, we're not competing here. We're competing because that was entertainment. And back in those days, people had their own style and did their own thing and have their own talent. Today, all due respect to the people of show business today, they kind of sound like someone else, because I can listen to people, and I could talk about this forever, because I've had people say, you know, who do you like? Some of the the groups of today, who do you like? There are a few, but I got to tell you, in my opinion, the music, when the 80s came to an end, when the 80s hit and came to an end, I thought, in my opinion, it was kind of over. Even though some groups are coming out and they're finding their own way, but at the same time, they're their own people, they're their own talent and their own distinct talent. You know, that's what I like about Ella Fitzgerald and the people who were working back in the day. Everybody had their own particular talent. Earl Bostic was born April 25th in 1913. Earl Bostic. Now let's see. Earl Bostic, he was an American alto saxophonist, and his recording career was diverse. He was a jazz, he played swing, he played jump blues, and he passed away October 28th in 1965 at the age of 52 years old. Now, these people, these musicians back in those days, today, when you hear them died at the age of 40 or 53, 52, today, that's a young age. Today, that's a young age. People are living longer, obviously. But Earl Bostic, one of, I guess you can mark him as one of the founders or the of jazz swing, one of the classic founders of jazz swing. Dwayne Eddy, I know him very well. Don't know him personally, but know of him very well. Played his records a lot. He was born April 26 in 1938. Dwayne Eddy played the guitar, and he was famous for that song. He did the Peter Gunn theme. And he did songs like Because There's Young, and let's see, a lot of other songs that he did. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. He was a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. And so many things, but you might want to look up Dwayne Eddy. Dwayne Eddy was an actor too. I remember he played on a couple of Westerns, you know, so he did his acting, he played, and he's still around. He's 85 years old. He's 85 years old. He's still around. I don't know if he's still working. A lot of the talent back in those days prefer to continue to work and keep on going. And they just keep moving on. Maxine Brown, DJ Pete has a lot of stuff here, but we're coming up to the wire and we're gonna get there, get as quickly as possible. Now, Maxine Brown, happy birthday to Maxine Brown. She was born, not born yesterday, but her date on the 27th, April 27th, 1931, she was born. Maxine Brown was an R&B singer back in the day. And I don't know if she's still working or not, but she's 87 years old. And Maxine Brown did a lot of great R&B songs, like, let's see, we have anything here that she did? If I could find a list of things. But she did a lot of great R&B stuff. I can't find a list of things that she did. But anyway, she did a great, and she was big in the 60s. Did some from the 50s, but big in the 60s, big in the 60s. Maxine Brown, happy birthday to you. And Big J McNeely, now Big J McNeely was born on the 29th. So his birthday would be tomorrow, would have been tomorrow. Jay McNeely was born in Los Angeles, California, and he played the saxophone. He was a great saxophonist, R&B, rhythm and blues, and I remember there's a hit that he did in the 60s, probably like in the early 60s, called "There's Something on Your Mind," I remember playing his records, you know, even before he passed away. When I had that show Music Beat, I used to play that record a lot. Big J McNeely, Hassel Adkin, okay, Hassel Adkin. Let's learn more about him. Hassel Adkin was born on the 29th, which tomorrow would have been his birthday. He would have been 68 years old, and he was an American singer, songwriter, and he was a multi-talented. He played a lot of instruments too. And he was known for his rock and roll country style of music. And so happy birthday to him. And last but not least, the Duke himself, Duke Ellington. We all know Duke Ellington, what a guy he was. And we could talk about Duke Ellington for days. Duke Ellington died May 24th of 1974 at the age of 75 years old. I remember there was an album that he did with Count Basie called First Time the Count Meets the Duke. Now, you know what kind of band that Duke Ellington had, a screaming, wailing big band. So was Count Basie. You put those two bands together, it'll scare the hell out of you if you were a singer having that kind of music behind you. Those big bands, and he was one of the original big band artists, him and Count Basie. So happy birthday to Duke Ellington. He had a son, Mercer, who's no longer with us either, Mercer Ellington too, as well. So thank you, DJ Pete, for giving us all of that information. We'll catch you back here next week on that. DJ Pete, you can catch his radio show on www.radio-airwave.co.uk. You can catch him there Thursday at 8 to 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And also you can catch him on his hometown station, WMPG Radio, which is in Portland, Maine, and WMPG.org as well, www.wmpg.org. And he's there every other Tuesday between 8:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. and all times Eastern time zone, US and Canada. Thank you so much. We'll catch you back here next week, DJ Pete. Please come back next week, DJ Pete, because I'm getting wiped out. Okay, if you're just joining us, the name of the show is called The Coffee Hour. My name is Frank Allen. So glad to be with you. And birthdays today. Actress Jessica Alba is 42 today. Actress Penelope Cruz is 49. Jorge Garcia, actor Jorge Garcia is 50 years old. Comedian Jay Leno is 73. Actress Anne Margaret is 82 years old today. Actress, the late Madge Sinclair, she played on Roots, Alex Haley Roots. She would have been 85 today. Former U.S. former U.S. Secretary of State James Baker is 93 years old, and the late actress Carolyn Jones would have been 93. So happy birthday to all of you, and thanks for being along with us. Remember, you can get in touch with me by emailing me or phoning me. All right. Email is Frank Allen Prod. Allen is spelled Allan. Prod is PROD. That's short for productions. That's frankallenprod@AOL.com. frankallenprod@AOL.com, or you can call 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. Time for those movies for me to give to you. Turner Classic Movies. I always do this each week. I always have my picks of the week for your weekend, and particularly those who are living in New York, which you're going to have a lot of rain coming in, so you're going to want to stay home, and this is a good time to catch up on some movies. So let's get started right away. Going back to 1970, coming on, Woodstock. Woodstock, if you love musicals, and this was done in, released in 1970. Actually, Woodstock took place in 1969. And that's when we released this movie in 1970. Well, that's coming on Turner Classic Movies. You can catch that Friday. That's tonight here in New York at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every time I give you times here, it's always Eastern. So it's 8 p.m. Eastern. And you just act accordingly. Superfly from 1972, Ron O'Neal and Sheila Fraser. That's also on Turner Classic Movies. And that's on Friday night, Saturday morning. All right. So that's midnight. At 12 a.m. Eastern, Superfly. So if you can't stay up that late for any reason, please, you can DVR them and watch them all at your very convenience. Cleopatra Jones, another one from 1973, starring the late Tamara Dotson, Bernie Casey, the late Bernie Casey, and the late Shelley Winters. And that's on Turner Classic Movies. That's also on Saturday, but it's like overnight, 3:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, 3:30 in the morning, Eastern. That's Cleopatra Jones. And finally, as we move on to Sunday, here's one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. I think, as far as I'm concerned, Spike Lee outdid himself, and I don't think he was the same ever since. That's only my opinion. When he did Malcolm X with Denzel Washington, well, that's coming on. It's a long movie, so be prepared for it. It's on Turner Classic Movies, and that's on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to check out the Turner Classic Movies roster and find out what's happening, go to Turner Classic Movies and scroll through the program guide, and you can catch more movies, maybe movies that I haven't mentioned, but these are only my picks, my movies that you may like, and you could also add them to your collection of what to watch for the weekend. And also, while you're there, go there and check out a lot of things. You can check out there. They have all the networks there. If you like sports, you can see, if you miss it in real time, I'm pretty sure they'll rerun them the following day. You like Lifetime movies, see what's available there. Go to the Lifetime movies. You can go to demand and watch all of the latest movies that are in the theaters right now. You can check them out. There are a lot of them, or you can check the movies that were recently in the theaters and see what's happening. Also, they have movie on demand with new movies that were old movies, that a whole line of them from A to Z. You can check them out. Check them out. They're right there. And movies that you haven't seen in a long time, movies that have may jog your memory that you want to catch up with, they're all right there. You can check them out. They're all right there. So check it out and see what you got. They're all great movies. Okay, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to wrap it up for me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoy being here with you as always. And I look forward to seeing you back on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll bring you Talk Back Live. Brian Camp will be with me with the latest developments in today's world of sports on Sports Update. And he'll have all that information for you. You could also be along with us next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back here next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and you can check us out then with more of the Coffee Hour. Brian Kent will be here with me with more of sports on Sports Update. And of course, I hope that you will be here too as well. And this way we can all intermingle and relax with each other. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a wonderful day, a great weekend, and I will catch you all back here next week. Enjoy yourselves. And for you New Yorkers, stay dry. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been watching The Coffee Hour with your host Frank Allen. The producer has been Al Dale. Technical assistant Dave Taylor. Research by Sandy Pierce. And I'm your announcer Donna Stenke. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time on The Coffee Hour.